How's it going, everyone? Welcome to SI Now. It is Thursday. It's May 18th, and I am Maggie Gray alongside Robin Lumber. Great to see you. For everyone watching on Facebook Live, well, hello. Thanks for stopping by. On today's show, what will the fallout be if Tom Brady was actually hiding a concussion? And is the media to blame for LaVar Ball?
But we begin with Game 1. Game 1, no fun for the Celtics. Cavs beat them by 13 points. Kevin Love chips in with a big-time performance. He is our adrenaline performer presented by Toyota. Let's go places. LeBron said, Kevin looks like Kevin from Minnesota. Love was wide open. LeBron was transcendent again. After Game 1, Maggie, should the Cavs now be the favorite? We'll go big picture and reactionary. Be the favorite to win it all.
Not so fast. Let's pump the brakes on this one a little bit. The Warriors are such a better defensive team than the Boston Celtics will probably ever be. And I'm talking about on the perimeter and also down low. They are a better rebounding team than the Celtics. Basically, every team in the playoffs is a better rebounding team than the Celtics. And I believe with Klay Thompson being able to full-time guard LeBron James and not really have to worry about the scoring load like he did a year ago because Kevin Durant is now on the team, that they are going to be able to have at least a better shot at slowing LeBron down than the Boston Celtics. The one thing you can possibly do against LeBron is try to force him into shooting jump shots only. That's the only perhaps vulnerability that in his game. I think the Warriors can do that. So not so fast. I'm not making the Cavs my favorite after Game 1.
LeBron's cashing those jumpers, though, this postseason. I don't think the Cavs will, or I know the Cavs will not be the favorite, but I do think they're going to win the championship. And I think Kyrie rises to the occasion against Curry. Tristan Thompson is the kind of player Golden State isn't equipped to deal with. And LeBron's just on another level right now. He's stunting on the #1 seed. You know, he's turning his back. He's flipping shots in. He's doing his free throw routine. And I've never seen a player control the game, orchestrate the game the way he is right now. He's got the Infinity Gauntlet on for any comic book nerds out there.
Yeah, I'm going to just let that reference slide because I don't know what you're talking about. But I will go back to something that Kenny Smith said on the broadcast last night, and this was about the Celtics having an emotional letdown after winning Game 7 on their home court. He said, it's like having New Year's Eve and then having New Year's Eve 2 days later. And I can understand where he's coming from. Hopefully the Celtics will put up some more fight in Game 2.
Meanwhile, LaVar Ball getting another turn through the news cycle. This time, more comments, of course, coming off that profile by ESPN. LaVar was on Colin Cowherd's radio show on Wednesday, and not surprisingly, fireworks. It all started when LaVar was asked about his shoe sales.
Like I said, there's different amounts.
How many?
Stay in your lane. Anyways,
I'm just curious.
I don't even worry about her over there. Every time she scares me to death.
Kind of disrespectful.
She says she scares Lonzo. Lonzo's scared of me. She scares me. That's why I don't look that way. I don't look over there because she scares me. I'm thinking of Saul right now.
I'm just trying.
Leave me alone. I'll tell you, 400-500 pair.
So she's a reporter. Her job is to probe.
She can report to whoever she wants behind her. I'm talking to you, Colin.
Believe it or not, it actually snowballed from there with LaVar Ball calling Christine Leahy a hater, claiming that Big Baller Brand was not for women, and then taking a shot at Jason Whitlock's weight. Now, a lot of people will say, Robin, that if you just take the microphone away from LaVar Ball, we won't have situations like this where he comes off looking very poorly. But is LaVar a media convention, and is the media to blame for him?
Yeah, I think he's a creation of the media. They keep feeding the beast. I mean, it's a cycle, right? It is someone gives LaVar Ball a platform. LaVar Ball says something outlandish or controversial. Media yells at LaVar Ball, rinse, wash, repeat. That's the way it works.
See, I don't think he's a media convention because people have said he's like this his entire life. What he's doing now is he's a possible misogynist, a possible racist. He's an outlier, and he's a trailblazer in a lot of ways as well. He's building his brand now, though, on controversy, which is not what it was supposed to be, I don't think, at the beginning. It was supposed to be about the kids. I don't think it's a media convention, but he is now using this antagonistic relationship with the media to try to boost his brand. After things like that, he's going to turn off a lot of people, probably all women, which maybe he doesn't care about. But that's going to be a reality. He's a grown man. He's got to take responsibility for his actions and words. I don't think you can blame the media for this one.
Yes, but his actions keep being rewarded with the platform. And, you know, like the type of stuff he said, I compared him to a wrestling promoter the other day. It's sort of barbershop kind of talk, and generally that isn't amplified, and it's being amplified. So you know what is resonating for LaVar Ball. He keeps being asked back. So it's kind of a hypocritical situation to say that you hate what he's saying and then allow him the forum to say it.
Well, not all of his comments, I think, can be treated equally. When he's doing the Carnival Barker barbershop talk, I could have beaten Michael Jordan, Lonzo's better than Steph Curry, I think that's put sort of in one box. And then when you are dismissive of a co-host of a radio show and television show, like he was to Christine when she asked, how many shoes have you sold, which is a pretty innocuous question considering he's out there promoting a shoe, then I think that's something very different. I put that in the box of also saying that you can't win with white players, and also saying, you know, these are more inflammatory things. The other stuff is carnival bark, but I think you need to separate the two.
You ever seen like the Bat Dad from South Park? You know, generally that guy isn't getting put on talk shows. That's the problem here. We wouldn't know about these comments. I agree with you. Everybody has personal responsibility for what you say or do. So I'm not saying LaVar Ball is exempt here. I'm just saying we wouldn't know who LaVar Ball was if this didn't keep happening. And who I really feel bad for at this point is Lonzo, because I thought this was going to go away.
Yeah.
Now I really do think it is a detriment to his career.
Well, the only reason why we know about LaVar now is not just because he's been given a microphone, but because Lonzo's really good. He really did help turn around that UCLA program, which is historic, in which, you know, college basketball is better when UCLA has a great team and is a contender. So that's all part of it. And now we translate that to the NBA, because everything seems to be falling right here for LaVar, Lonzo, and his, you know, quest to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. So in terms of LaVar being a detriment, now I am getting concerned about his NBA career, because if LaVar is calling out, asking for trades, players to be traded, starts meddling with the Lakers, I think that he's going to really hurt Lonzo.
Yeah, Lonzo is good, but he ain't that good.
We don't
to
know.
the point where you can just, you know, forget everything that goes on. And I thought this would be a little bit of a flash in the pan, but it keeps happening over and over again. So if you're the Lakers sitting there at 2, and he's the only team you want to play for, and you wonder, you know, we have him even with somebody else on our draft board, that might flip-flop, because the person who's defending LaVar Ball and saying, you know, he's doing this, he's being a father to his kid and being positive and all that, that's all well and good, but there's a point where that tips and it becomes about him, and I think he's way past that point, and that's why I think when we're talking with the media, there's no point in bringing him on unless you're being transparent up front about it.
And say, we're doing this for
We're doing it for clicks, we're doing it for views, what have you.
You know, it's a Hollywood team, and I understand that in Los Angeles you have to bump up the drama, but I can't imagine Lonzo, LaVar, Magic Johnson, D'Angelo Russell, all these guys, Swaggy P, if he's still on the team, all these guys mix that up in a stew, and I feel like you potentially have a very volatile situation. Imagine if he goes to Boston, ship him clear across the country.
Yeah, that rivalry will go to a new level in his own mind. Well, Lonzo and LaVar Ball may wind up being the story of the NBA draft. The Sacramento Kings, they'll also be busy on draft night. And yesterday we had a chance to talk to the daughter of Kings owner Vivek Ranadive, Anjali Ranadive.
The Sacramento Kings snagged the number 5 and number 10 picks in this week's NBA draft lottery. And while the so-called experts hammer away at their mock drafts, we've got someone a little closer to the situation in Sacramento. The multi-talented Anjali Ranadive. She's a singer-songwriter. You probably know her as Anjali World. And of course, because we're Sports Illustrated, we have a sort of natural curiosity about your father, Vivek Ranadive, who's the owner of the Sacramento Kings. Okay, first of all, Vivek was your coach, your basketball coach, when you were a child. Even Malcolm Gladwell wrote about this. What was your dad like as a coach?
He was, you know, he's super, I mean, first of all, he's incredibly intelligent. So one thing that was really, really cool about it is that he actually, like, I don't even know how he did this, but he literally developed equations to figure out how to win. So he would pretty much he would have us do full court press the whole game. And we're like 7th grade girls, you know?
Because you were 12 at this point.
Yeah,
He's developing
and
formulas.
he's literally like writing out these formulas. We're like, what is going on? And it's crazy because it worked. We had a team full of girls who, most of us had actually never played basketball before. Like hadn't even touched a basketball, you know? And we'd be up 25-0 in the first quarter. Like just from, it was really, really amazing to have him as a coach. I mean, he too was really new to basketball at the time, but just using his, of course, his tech knowledge and just his brilliance, like he kind of figured out how to win with just a group of girls who hadn't really played before. So it was pretty amazing.
In a weird way, your dad's been criticized for some of that stuff on the NBA level for being out of his element. What would you say to the critics of your father since he's been owner of the Sacramento Kings?
I mean, first of all, everything takes time. I truly believe that his, out-of-the-box thinking is going to lead to amazing things. It's a process. It's definitely going to pay off in the future,
When I say DeMarcus Cousins, what's your reaction?
I mean, I know everyone has kind of a, preconceived kind of, people, definitely, feel a certain type of way about him, but he's, to me, the best center in the league, and I think he's a great player. I just think, a decision had to be made, and, hopefully it'll pay off in the future.
Yeah.
So,
Being around your dad, what was his feelings the day before that trade, and what were his feelings the day after? What was he like?
I mean, definitely sad. DeMarcus has been with the team for 8 years, and so yeah, of course, everyone was kind of, there's definitely a sadness, and it was a bittersweet moment for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think like you said, with it definitely opened up doors for people like Willie and for a lot of the younger guys, and so we'll see what happens. But I think we're definitely moving forward.
When you are performing in Sacramento, I know sometimes you'll perform for the crowd.
Right.
What is that like for you?
It's the biggest adrenaline rush ever. It's incredible. Definitely, I've been blessed to be able to perform, in front of so many people at such an amazing place, and it just means so much more being able to perform in Sacramento, But yeah, it's a crazy feeling for sure. I love performing out here though. We were just talking about Webster Hall,
New York City.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I imagine that your father, because he comes from the tech world, brilliant guy, he probably runs into a lot of people outside the world of basketball, not just coaches and GMs that he has relationships with. Have you ever heard him or watched him have a basketball conversation with someone that you never thought he would have a basketball conversation with?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Drake is one person for sure.
Drake?
Yeah.
Who was Drake rooting for at the time? Was it the Raptors still?
Of course,
All
yeah,
right.
of course. I feel like he has a lot of friends on, on different teams, of course. I know he's super close with Steph and really close to DeMarcus too. But yeah, so that was kind of cool, to hear them, talking about.
I wonder who was picking whose brain there.
Right,
Your father picking Drake's brain or the other way around?
Probably a little bit of both, maybe, who knows.
Maybe he ghost wrote for Drake. We know, sometimes that happens.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here and sharing what it's like to be the daughter of the owner of an NBA franchise. Really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
You can't talk about football in the year 2017 without talking player safety, namely concussions. While the NFL and NCAA are taking steps to reduce head injuries, they're not the only ones. I'm joined by Thad Ide, Senior Vice President for Research and Product Development at Riddell, who's here to demonstrate a new helmet. It's called Precision Fit. Harry, our producer, is with us as well. He's going to be our guinea pig. But Thad, first of all, Riddell's been making helmets that both college and pros have been using for a long time. This new Precision Fit, what is different about it?
Well, that's right. Riddell's been making helmets since the late 1930s, but the new Precision Fit technology uses modern visible light scanning technology to actually map the surface of a player's head. We can use that data to then create a helmet that fits their head and only their head exactly. Your head surface is sort of like a fingerprint. No two are alike. And we now have the ability to create helmets that fit perfectly and match the surface of the player's head.
Okay, so let's get the demonstration going. We'll welcome in your associate, Pat Friel, who's going to put the Precision Fit on Harry. Now, Harry played 6 years of football, 4 in high school, two middle school in Westchester, Pennsylvania. We're told 3 sacks. We have no footage of this, but we're going to take his word for it. Walk us through what's going on here. So let's say Harry would be who? Aaron Rodgers? You would do this with all your players, right?
We could do this with any player that's interested in the technology. We've had great response at the large colleges and professional teams. The first thing we're going to do is scan the player with their helmet in place, because once you create the custom liner system, the helmet's going to be positioned perfectly for you at the start of every play each time.
Okay, so Harry, how does this feel compared to the helmet you wore in high school?
I had a pretty big head in high school, well, constantly, and they actually had to order me an extra large helmet, which wasn't standard, so I'm hoping that this one's real nice and comfy.
Okay, so Pat, you strapped in Harry. He kind of looks like, you look like Top Gun right now, Harry. You look like you're ready to take off. Explain what you're doing there, Pat.
So this first scan, it's a series of 2 scans. The first one here is strictly for the shell positioning, and it goes along with the personalized aspect of the helmet. An athlete can pick exactly where he'd want his helmet to sit to give him the optimum sight lines. So this first scan, and we can show you here, is we're just looking for the surface of the actual shell to produce a helmet for X player that is going to sit that way each and every time. So,
okay, so let's see the technology. That's Harry's head. And then what do you do with this data? Where do you take it from here?
Well, the next step in the process is to get a scan without the helmet on. And the engineers at Riddell can import both files, position the head in the helmet just exactly the way the player wants it.
Okay, so it sounds like from here we're talking about fit. How much does fit correlate to safety? Because I know back in the day in the NFL or in college football, you're trying to prevent skull fractures. Now we're talking about that along with concussion. So how much does fit play into that equation?
Well, at Riddell, we're always trying to move forward in player safety. So with each new technology we develop, we always have an eye towards that. And this is no different. All of the materials that are inside a modern football helmet are chosen for specific performance reasons, and the Precision Fit helmet is no different. It's chosen for its impact performance capabilities.
Okay, so now we've scanned Harry's head twice, once with the helmet on, once with the helmet off. So let's step back in here, and what do we know now?
we know the surface of Harry's head. We'll be able to make him a set of custom fit tools. Specific to Harry and only Harry. With those tools, we'll be able to deliver a custom fit helmet that will only fit Harry.
So is Harry now going to be, can you claim that he'll be safer using this helmet if he is playing high-level football?
I think that's tough to quantify, but Harry will be as well protected as Harry can be playing football. Okay.
I mean, we know now, right? The NFL is dealing with, this is their number one problem at the moment, head trauma. When you talk to the league, which Riddell has been a partner with for a while, what do they tell you? What do they want to know from your side about how to potentially make the football players as safe as they possibly can be?
Well, I think the league and their various safety committees are very interested in the product development path that we're taking, and I think we're very much aligned with some of the things that they're looking at. We have a plan in place to develop position-specific helmets, skill-level specific helmets, which means that helmets might be different for junior high schoolers, college players, professional players. No helmet can prevent all concussions. We're trying to reduce the risk by using different techniques to reduce impact forces, but first and foremost, no helmet can prevent concussions.
It's funny because we just hear, Gisele Bündchen, goes on CBS and says Tom Brady was playing with a concussion all year long. I mean, we're hearing every single day about players who unfortunately are facing the negative effects of all of this head trauma throughout your years. I mean, what are some of the questions you're getting from players about what the technology is like that's protecting their brain?
Well, I think players are more interested now than they were, say, a number of years ago. I think players are much more cognizant of what helmet brands and what helmet models they're wearing. 15 years ago, I'd run into a lot of players that really couldn't tell you what helmet they were wearing. So I think at least the discussion's moving in that direction, and players are becoming, more interested in their own health and safety.
That's fantastic. Harry, you've been a phenomenal model. And guinea pig. Pat, thank you. Thad, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Football, like he had a concussion last year. I mean, he has concussions pretty much. I mean, we don't talk about, but he does have concussions. And I don't really think it's a healthy thing for your body to go through through that kind of aggression, like all the time. And that could not be healthy for you, right?
That was Gisele Bündchen talking to Charlie Rose about Tom Brady, saying that he has had concussions. Robin, he's the most high-profile football player out there. He is the face of the league. Will this now, the NFL is investigating whether or not Brady hid concussions, whether the Patriots knew that he potentially was hiding a concussion. Is this going to change anything about our discussion on head trauma moving forward?
I don't think it really changes it, but it does bring it again to the forefront. And you know the NFL is really insecure about it or alarmed anytime this comes up. I mean, when they heard this, I bet you panic went out, and you quickly get a statement, which you may not have done if this was another player.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change anything, and that's kind of unfortunate. I mean, at this time and with this group of players, if Junior Seau didn't do anything to change the overall fans' perspective on this, or whether it turned people off from the game, then I don't think Tom Brady potentially having concussions or hiding them is going to bring any more attention or make people, specifically fans, I would say, think differently about this particular issue. Now, what could change is that if it does turn out that either the Patriots knew about this, that Brady might have been hiding concussions, or that, Brady was doing it, does it spark Brady versus the league round 3 are we right now? And this would make Deflategate look like small potatoes.
Well, the problem here is, I mean, you really think about this and take the big picture on it. Not only could it do that, not only could they feud again, because obviously the relationship can't be totally great at this moment. The Patriots are the NFL's brand in a lot of ways. They're synonymous. I mean, they win every single year. They're right in the mix. They just won the Super Bowl. So if we keep having a negative connotation associated with the Patriots, that negative connotation is then associated with the NFL.
Yeah, that's not a good sign for the league. And I think that, we already are seeing lawsuits that happen, with players who played in the 60s and the 70s, and now we're going to see more 80s, 90s, and now 2000s. If this is something where, Giselle said it herself, he's had many concussions, or at least she believes that he had many concussions. How does that manifest itself down the road? And are we going to see another lawsuit that's now Tom Brady and others versus the league, 10, 15 years down the road? Now, let's talk about the future. Considering this is the NFL's #1 issue, what do you think football's going to look like in 20 years, 30? Let's go 50 years down the road.
50 years is a long time. I know for sure it won't be the same as it is presently constructed. And it may not exist at all. I mean, that wouldn't shock me if football just doesn't exist 50 years from now.
It would shock me if it doesn't exist. We're talking about the year 2067, which makes my heart flutter a little just thinking about that far into the future. I believe that special teams will be gone. I think special teams could be gone in 20 years. And I think it's going to look more like 7-on-7 drills do, where the defense really has taken all the teeth out of it. It's going to be more like flag football with really high-performance athletes.
I'm not one of these guys that's against football, right? But, I mean, if you think about it, there was a time when boxing and horse racing were king. And there was a time when you could smoke cigarettes on planes. Right now you have to leave Earth or something to smoke a cigarette. So and there's a lot of analogies there between the cigarette industry, the tobacco industry, and the NFL. People have talked about hiding the concussions. So I think as that talent pool dwindles, as fewer and fewer people play football, my kid's not going to play football, and as on top of that some sort of other alternative emerges, whether it's soccer or something else, it's going to eventually bring it down. It's hard for us to imagine that because we've never known a time when football hasn't been on top. But just because something has been doesn't mean it always will be.
I'll say this for the NFL. They don't sit back on their laurels. They go out trying to find new markets. We have more games overseas than ever this upcoming season. I know they're trying to go to China. If they can emerge into the Asian countries and Southeast Asia, they would absolutely love it because it would open up a brand new market. So I think the NFL is going to try to grow, yet at the same time at home, it's going through, I think, a bit of a crisis. I think it's going to take a while. I don't think it will ever fully be gone, but I think it will definitely change. And I agree with you. I think we are going to live through a time where the NFL is not the #1 sport.
And you talk about trying to expand. It hasn't happened naturally and organically for them. They tried to force it on. It's happened organically for basketball. Basketball and soccer are universally popular, I think, for a number of reasons. They're easy to participate in, and they give you all the stuff you want from a sport: physicality, competitiveness, athleticism, without the dangers of football.
Yeah, interesting discussion. We'll keep that one going, I'm sure. Yeah, someone knows a little something about football. Tom Brady.
Yeah, somebody knows a little something about Tom Brady and the Patriots and football. That's Vince Wilfork. I had a chance to catch up with him about his latest endeavor. Vince Wilfork and Kingsford Charcoal currently have a petition live on We the People in order to make barbecue ribs the country's national food.
I'm on a mission to make barbecue ribs the official food of America.
100,000 signatures in 30 days would force this to be addressed. Vince, I think the first necessary question is, what made you so passionate about this particular cause?
Because I've always grew up barbecuing and eating ribs and stuff. So, when I partnered up with Kingsford, I've always wanted to be with the best. Everything I do, I like to be the best at what I do. So Kingsford is the best when it comes to barbecuing. And when you talk about barbecue, Kingsford. So we want to make America's ribs America's food. Kingsford.com, sign a petition for ribs to be the national food of America.
Having traveled across the country and being a food connoisseur, I wanted to get your thoughts on where some of the best foods are in different spots. Where is the best barbecue in the country?
In my backyard.
All right, best burger.
Man, best burger. Jeez, I'm a Five Guys burger type of guy. Love Five Guys.
Best pizza.
I like Papa John's.
Well, you going like chain? You went Five Guys down a chain. All right, how about best quinoa bowl?
Who?
I'm just kidding. All right, now I want to play a little word association, a little food association game with you. I won't ask you who is the quinoa bowl of the NFL, but I will ask you who a certain NFL player, what food you would correlate with them. Who is the barbecue ribs of the NFL?
Me. No brainer.
What food would Bill Belichick be?
Pass.
How about, speaking of passing, what food would Tom Brady be?
Kale.
Kale, that's a good one. He goes with that quinoa bowl. What food would Cam Newton be?
Ribs.
How about LaVar Ball? What food is LaVar Ball? Some sort of munchies?
Whew. Chicken breast.
All right. Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson looked like a burger man.
Aaron Rodgers?
Ooh. Cheese.
Finally, that was a good one. Finally, J.J. Watt.
A banana sandwich.
A banana sandwich.
Banana and peanut butter sandwich.
Hey, that sounds pretty good to me. All right, how about actually a little football talk before we let you get out of here? You said after you and the Texans lost to the Patriots, it was probably your last game in the NFL. Was it, now that you're out here on your quest for ribs?
Well, right now, I'm just sitting back and making sure that I'm 100% sure what I want to do. So I'm not retired, or I'm not saying I'm going to retire. Right now, I'm just enjoying Kingsford barbecue. That's what we're enjoying, barbecuing right now at its finest.
Now, what is your read on Colin Kaepernick's situation and how much teams might be shying away from him due to his protests rather than his play?
I don't get into all of that. That's not my concern. So, I've heard something about it this morning in another interview, but I really haven't thought too much about it. So I just know he's a great talent, and I hate to see it be wasted away.
Now, to disappoint some people, the Patriots, they're going to win it all again next year, aren't they?
We shall see. It's 32 teams. Every year is different.
All right, Vince, appreciate the time. Kingsford Barbecue, we the people, the petition to make barbecue ribs America's national food. Do you have one more pitch, a rib dance? I know you were famous for a rib dance. So you got a live reenactment of that you could do?
Nah, not today.
Appreciate the time today, Vince.
All right, thank you.
With the Super 2 deadline behind us and June fast approaching, the best prospects in baseball should start arriving in the majors soon. We've already seen Cody Bellinger, Ian Happ, and Bradley Zimmer get the call. Who could be behind them? Keep your eye on these three players. Yoan Moncada is the top prospect in baseball, and he should be in a White Sox uniform soon. The 22-year-old is hitting .331, .401, .504 with 6 homers, 4 doubles, and 10 steals in 157 plate appearances with AAA Charlotte. With the Super 2 deadline in the rearview mirror, the White Sox no longer have an incentive to keep him buried in the minors. The White Sox still may take their time with Moncada, but it's clear that he will be in Chicago at some point this summer. Once he is, he'll be of immediate relevance in all fantasy leagues. The Mets are having a terrible season, comfortably behind the Nationals in the NL East. There's a whole lot of baseball left this season, but at this point, it is far more likely that the Mets are out of realistic playoff contention in mid-August than they are back in the thick of things. As that gets closer and closer to reality, the calls for Ahmed Rosario will only get louder. Rosario is getting his first taste of the highest level of the minors at AAA Las Vegas this season. He's slashing .359, .401, .493 with 2 homers, 11 doubles, 22 RBI, and 7 steals in 157 plate appearances. Rosario has played like a future MLB star at every level of the minors and done so while being young for every stop along the way. That's the surest sign of any that a player is ready for the show. Finally, the Rays are just about ready to bring another homegrown pitcher to the majors. Brent Honeywell, who's in his age 22 season, is at the AAA level for the first time in his career, and he's more than holding his own. In 5 starts, he has a 4.05 ERA and 1.28 WHIP, but more importantly, 32 strikeouts in 26 2/3 innings. Honeywell throws a legitimate screwball, which moves like a curveball but breaks in the opposite direction. There's no doubt that the righty can miss bats. That skill would likely transfer immediately to the majors should he get the call this season.
Great baseball name, Brent Honeywell.
Yeah, I mean,
He's made for the majors.
Especially for a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
I mean, what would be better than that? Sam Crashing? I mean, what kind of name could you have?
The Honeyball. That's what you need. You know?
Oh, that's his signature pitch.
That's a signature pitch.
He rubs a little honey on the inside of his brim of his hat, right?
Hopefully not. It's just nice and sweet. You know, that's what I think. Robin, thanks so much. Appreciate it. You're back again tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Thank you all for watching another episode of SI Now. We won't leave you hanging. We'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern with all the latest sports news and headlines, though. Keep it locked to SI.com all day. And follow us on Twitter. It's 2017. You should be following us on Twitter at SI Now. Live is where to find us. See you tomorrow, everyone.